Hello everybody, what is up? I am Crimson Thunder here. Welcome to a brand new Let's Play of Roguetech. For those of you who don't know what Roguetech is, this is a mod for the 2018 game called Battletech, which a little while ago, probably maybe a few months ago, I have actually completed the game. And I will go over some combat mechanics about this down the road. For those of you who have played Battletech before and don't know what Roguetech is, this mod basically makes it this whole game much harder. And it gives you a few stuff that I will actually show you what's different as we go along. Rather than waste too much time talking about this, I will go ahead and play this. Unfortunately, for all these videos that I'll do, I will limit them to 2 battles per video. This is because there is a known problem with the entire program itself as far as a memory leak is concerned. Unfortunately, it will use way more memory than what normal programs are supposed to. I don't know why this has not been fixed yet as of now, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And one of the things why I haven't been doing too much other stuff that are outside of Sentinels of the Multiverse is because I've actually been doing this game quite a bit, and I decided to just start doing a Let's Play. And first, just to let you know, there is no actual ending to this game. For those of you who want me to do an actual Battletech playthrough of this, please leave a comment down below if you would want to. So I pretty much left the settings on default, other than maybe just making some shop items more available, but everything else is pretty much good for it. First thing you want to do is, since we just started, I want to first go into our MechWarriors and see what we have. It appears that we got quite a bit of some others, and of course there's my character.
Yep. Orders.
And we also got others
Standing
too.
by. Orders. Commander.
Yeah, and some of these people are definitely have to go.
Waiting for orders.
Just beware though that if you see some of these characters that are Ronins, once you get rid of them they do. But if you've noticed over here, we do have finances that we are at $340, $275 C bills per month. This game actually does go on for several months, and just like in real life, you have to pay your bills.
Yeah.
In order to compensate for that, we have to get rid of some of these MechWarriors. Unfortunately,
Good to go.
some of them are really good. Definitely going to get rid of this one because this is like 40 grand, 800 a month for the skill that he ended up having. Hit in combat, so I'm just gonna get rid of these. I actually will replace them with stuff that actually costs less. That'll be down the road.
Receiving you.
Good to go.
Good to go.
Commander?
What's up, boss?
Yeah, there's definitely a big difference with this one compared to Glitch.
Waiting for orders.
And
Orders.
Good to go.
Ready to get it on.
Standing by. Ready for orders.
Yeah, this is much better.
I'm here. I hear, Commander.
And we might want to get rid of one more. And down the road, I will also
Receiving you.
get rid of him. Get one more. But apparently, this glitch is definitely. There are glitches in the mod. I mean, this is
Quite a step up from the leopard.
it's definitely
I've gotta
far
hand
from
it to
perfect,
Dr.
but we'll
Moreau.
do what we
This
can.
Argo is a hell of a
Aye,
ship.
aye. Waiting on you, Commander.
And I'll get rid of Showboat as well. Trunk.
This is an all-ship announcement. There's something
There we go.
the gym we picked up
So we have 4 altogether.
happening.
Currently, there's like 3 girls in here. But don't worry, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go there. First, so I'm going to first.
I'm here.
We have like a set number of experience that we have. Arclight here. She's got a minor, since she comes from a military background, a MechWarrior. There's a chance she'll steal from the company, but an increase in chance of finding specials on black market systems, and a bonus hit combat, but easier to be hit. At $3,100, we don't really want to be hit, so we'll just get rid of this one last one, and we'll see if there's anyone. No, let's see here.
Yes, Commander. Awaiting orders.
Commoner.
I'm here. Yes, Commander. Awaiting orders.
Can't hire that one.
Aye, aye.
You know what? We'll actually get to the. We'll actually get back to the to this one in a little while. But what I'll do is, on request some viewers and maybe some other people later on. I know the Black Phoenix requested this, that we'll try to make a MechWarrior based on them. And if I see anything that here that would be able to fit the role, I will do so. But for now, we've got 3 MechWarriors currently available, and that's because we only have 3 mechs currently available. So here, these 3 are the ones who will stay. Behemoth and Glitch, believe it or not, are actually part of the whole thing as far as the story with the regular Battletech, as well as Decker and Mohammed. No, and that other one. No, it doesn't. It's not important. So first, I'm going to get some of these skills up. I know what I will. There are certain roles that I'm going to do, so I will actually put them as appropriate. I'm actually going to go with the Ace Pilot first, and I will explain what all these abilities do, because some of them are actually different than what it is with the regular Battletech. So I will go ahead and do this.
MechWarrior training complete.
Yes,
Talk to me.
Yep.
Commander.
Okay. I will make her go up on the front line combat, so I'm going to put guts into it.
Training confirmed, Commander.
Good to go.
And she's gonna be gunnery. So I'm gonna put multi-target.
Training complete.
Okay. So we're going to go into the mech bay. Now, we have 3 mediums available. So when it comes to our battle mechs, they're divided into 4 categories. You have your light mechs, which is anything from 20 tons to 35 tons. You have your mediums, which are anything between 40 tons to 55 tons. You have your heavies, which are 60 to 75 tons, and your assaults are from 80 to 100 tons. There might be some that could be higher than 100 tons, but I have not exactly seen it myself yet. But the 100 tons are something you don't want to mess with too much. And when we eventually get there, I will. It looks like we have 3 particular ones available for mechs available. So, and each of them has its own role. There it has. For example, this Wolverine here is the stock role is for either a skirmisher and cavalry. Now these are one of those mechs that only wants to be called in at pretty much after everyone has basically gone, because these actually do have jump jets, and you basically want to try to not get too close to anybody else while doing so. Unlike the Hunchback here being a juggernaut and a close assault, these are one of the ones that usually are pretty well armored, and also being able to provide some fire support. We got a bunch of lasers on here, as well as it's being able to shoot some missiles as well. But it primarily has a bunch of lasers in order to deal with some of the people who come in close. And we also have our Vindicator, which is known which here's the fire support and brawler. Well, this pretty much has the role of either staying back and shooting other stuff from a distance. That's pretty safe. Or for a brawler, it's one of those ones you want to get up most personal. But for stuff of this tonnage, I would highly not recommend trying to do some of the stuff with the heavier mechs. So that's how, and this is how that's gonna work. But for now, I am going to and after you land on, and one of the first things you should do is you should find contracts. With this mod, it takes a little longer to load than what it's supposed to. So, and it only shows a handful at first. But the trick is, yeah, it's loading a whole bunch of other things at once, so it's gonna take a little bit. The trick is after you reload that the first time, you wanna exit out of it, and then you'll go back in. When it loads up again, you'll actually have a bunch more. Now here is a bunch of contracts. We have, and we also have certain ones that have these like 1 month and stuff. These are actually deployments, but I would not recommend doing some of this until you have at least 2 lances worth of other stuff available of battle mechs. For now though, because we're not capable of really taking out some of the higher mechs. I would not go any more than taking skull missions that are at least that are more than one skull. So we're going to go ahead and pick one of these three here. We have a destroy a base, recovery, and we have a battle. Now the other thing you have to know is that some of these houses are actually, it gives you reputation depending on how well you serve them, and if you go on missions that go against them. Here, if you help them, you'll gain reputation, and you also have to look at the one for what kind of enemy it is. In this case, it's a local government lance. So, unfortunately, the local government is the only faction in this entire game where your reputation, no matter what you do to them, cannot be increased or decreased. But we will actually go ahead here, and you also want to read here. After a recent skirmish with our forces, the surviving units of a local government lands have escaped the battlefield. We believe they managed to partially repair their mechs, and that means they're a loose end to the Draconis Combine would like to see tied off permanently. Track down these survivors and finish them for good. And we have a little intelligence here. A partial lance of damaged mech doesn't sound too bad, Commander. If we're able to bring them down mostly intact, this could mean excellent salvage opportunities. So we'll go here. The next thing you want to do is if you look at here, you'll get to see what each contract is capable of. For this one though, because we don't have any battle mechs that are any spare battle mechs other than those three that we have, we're gonna go with full salvage. Since getting rid of some of those MechWarriors did a lot of help for our financial situation, we should be okay with just going off and getting some of these full salvage. And this is what we'll do. We'll be able to bring two. This will be basically is obvious how much we'll get paid, but the thing is, you want to pay attention to this. This will tell me how many priority salvage you'll be able to get and how much you'll get at random. So you'll be able to get 9 things total, but 2 of them you'll get a priority over. So we'll go ahead and accept that. And we will take our lancers here, and right now I'm going to do pretty much 3 things. We're going to assign these into areas based off of their skills. You know how here we did a pilot? Here we got Ace Pilot, where we can use movement before or after shooting. In the original game, this is not you would not be able to get this skill this early. But that's actually very useful. It's actually really useful when you have your skirmisher and cavalry. So we'll actually put this in the. I'll put myself. I'll refer this to myself because based off what we have, I'll take the Wolverine because this is the Juggernaut and such, where you want to be able to get up close and personal. We're going to put that to Behemoth, and we'll take Glitch at the Vindicator. But it actually looks like we can do stuff up to 1.5, possibly. But I wouldn't recommend that this early. So we have we only have 3 available, so we need to be careful here. And at another time we will go over specifically about mods to this and such. But you'll be hearing this, and as soon as everything's done, you'll be hearing this quite a lot.
MechWarriors, prepare for combat.
And that means let's prepare for combat. Unfortunately, this might take a little while to load. But the longer that the game actually goes on and plays, the longer the load times actually take, unfortunately. So we'll just keep an eye on it. And on the bottom left, and here this is just a simple destroy all enemy units. And there's also tips that come up on the ground, on the upper left. Positioning is key, so you get to the high ground or you're digging deep. I'll get back to you in a second.
Command interface initiated.
Well, that didn't take long. Sometimes you'll just see a drop ship actually drop them off, but apparently we're in 2 separate areas. This is the last known position of the enemy Lance Commander. Advance and get eyes on them. And let's see how badly damaged they really are. Good hunting, Commander. Oliver out.
I like it here. It's lush.
So we do have a contact here. Okay, so the order basically goes by the tonnage, unless you have an advantage. But normally it's 4, 3, 2, and 1. 4 is when you're the light mechs, 3 is the medium mechs, 2 are the heavies, and 1's are for the assaults. So.
What's up, boss?
So we pick during once of our turn we get to have one of the MechWarriors moves. So first we'll pick Behemoth. Now we can either move or sprint depending on which is happening. And if you sprint, you'll be able to move farther, but you'll actually suffer a accuracy penalty if you shoot after. And when your MechWarriors are not as skilled, it makes them more difficult. But because we're not in range of them, this would not be a bad idea.
Going full speed.
And the faster you go, the more evasion.
We've got company.
You'll end up bringing up. The more evasion pips you have over here, the more difficult it is for you to get hit. And if you're had a firing arc against any of the opponents here, you could be able to attack here. But because we can't do anything else, we'll end our turn. This here is a flea. looks like they're shoddy armor. So these are only carrying half of their normal armor.
Good to go.
Now, if your mechs are equipped with jump jets, you'll be able to do the same thing. They usually get to move farther, but if you do happen to do this, just be aware that you will have you'll have a higher accuracy penalty than you would. Now, if you choose to move here, if you see this little line over here, this would mean that you would be able to fire at an opponent from that particular angle. One of the advantages of being able to move into the forest is that you'd be able to have any attacks reduced by 25% when you are fired upon. Now, if you just do a move and shoot, then it wouldn't be as bad. But normally, because this little dotted line means it's a indirect fire, we are not going to do that. So what we'll do is that we will sprint.
Going turbo.
And after that, we can attack. Now, unfortunately, there's only a 25% hit chance with the LRM-5, and if you actually go over here and take a look at it, our gunnery skill not being as good, being at 85%, it will only give you a certain bonus. But we'll get a bonus if we are attacking it from the side, but we are in a medium range. Since we sprinted, it gives us a +2 to our shooting penalty. The target already moved this turn, and the target terrain, since we're shooting out of a forest and into another one, it gives us a little bit of a penalty too. And since we moved as well, we get an additional +1 penalty. But it gives us a total score of a chance to about 25% per missile. Now, with an LRM-5, there's going to be 5 of these long-range missiles coming out of here. So we'll go ahead and take this shot. And our PPC is basically the same. It's basically the same thing. But since it's arm mounted, we get a bonus to the attack too. But in this case, it'll do 41 damage, and that calculates based off of the cover too. Which there are ways to reduce it even more. But we'll go ahead and fire.
Special delivery.
And all those completely missed. Now this is both in cover, guarded, and it is also moved, which will reduce the even more. Luckily, these pulses here actually ignore some of these pips. So let's actually move here. We will attack the we'll actually attack the Wasp. We have short-range missiles here too. And again, since we ended up sprinting, we have all these penalties. But the weapon accuracy over here actually helps a lot, because this ignores 2 of these evasion pips.
Roger.
And that took, and with that, and with one of those lasers actually hitting, this actually damaged the right leg. Looks like we had some missiles coming at us. That looks like a PPC. Now for here,
I've got your back.
what we'll do is I'm gonna move this one first. Since we have Ace Pilot, we can actually shoot first and then move. Now this will actually make our odds of being able to hit them better, because some of those penalties for what we had are actually better. So we'll actually go ahead and shoot first.
Locked on target.
And that destroyed her right arm, so yeah.
That was a critical hit, lad.
Yep, that was definitely a critical hit. Since this arm was destroyed, it lost whatever equipment was on there is no more. And I will give you more strategy about that later. But because we ended up destroying this arm, since we destroyed this arm, they have no medium laser. And after we shoot with Ace Pilot, I'm going to go ahead and move out of sight.
I'm employing my jet.
Now I'm going to take
Waiting for
Behemoth.
orders.
I'm going to sprint forward. I'm going to target this wasp because of the fact that we are so close with these LRMs. Since we're inside its minimum range, we have a penalty of a +8. So if we actually click on these, we can disable them so they don't fire. One of the other important reasons for sometimes doing this is because if you also take a look here, this produces 11. When this is fired, it produces 11 heat, which is indicated by this little bar over here. If this bar goes over this particular line, the mech that you have will overheat, and there's a chance that the mech will either shut down, or if you had any ammo, they'll explode. And in the original game, if you overheated, all you simply did was basically take some heat damage. So it's a little bit more forgiving in some cases, but I would seriously not pressure. There's a chance that you can instantly blow up if you do that. So it's both forgiving and unforgiving. It's both more unforgiving and forgiving at the same time. But in this case, I would also, if they save a little bit of heat, I'd turn off the small laser as well, just to just fire off these 5 medium lasers. And that hits the gyro.
Take that.
Now the gyros are what makes these mechs stable. He fired a flamer and a small laser at me and missed both times. Now, this little warning indicator indicates that this particular this particular mech is unstable. When a mech becomes unstable, if they have any evasion pips over here, they will immediately lose all of them. And your next move cannot be a sprint if you're unstable. You can, and there are two ways you
Waiting
can
for orders.
gradually do so. You could either just execute a normal move, gaining evasive charges based off your distance, but if you move a portion of your stability damage, which is actually this lower bar over here, or if you end up bracing, you'll be able to remove all of it. But you'll have to end your turn right there. But if your opponent is unstable, it makes it much easier for you to hit your opponent. So a lot of these have already gone up to like 30%. I will actually jump here. I will overheat if I shoot everything. And I'll just turn off the PPC and just fire everything else.
Roger that! Firing on target!
Machine guns normally...
When I shoot you, you'll take it and like it!
Now when it comes to those machine guns, normally you would not, it's normal for you to not do as much damage, but in general, a lot of machine guns usually have higher chance to do critical damage, which usually... No. Hold on a second. So we can't sprint. Camera angle so bad.
You got nothing, you hear me?
That was a melee attack. That was like executed poorly. Anyway, it's over here. Since he fired every single one of his weapons all at once, which is also known as an alpha strike, that's when you generate a lot of heat. And since he decided he was dumb and fired everything at an inappropriate time, he made this over the red line. When that happens, you have a chance for your mech to basically either shut down, and in his case also, since he also packs missiles, it has a chance to explode. And also, when we also looked at those machine guns, we've actually been able to destroy one of the jump jets on here. Whenever a critical hit usually either damages or destroys components, like that jump jet over here, as well as hitting the gyro too. Hitting the gyro will immediately make your mech unstable, which is only part of this Roguetech mod. So now that it's our turn. Okay, so first
Orders.
this is gonna be great. Now, this green line indicates that you're able to shoot somebody in the back. If you have an opportunity to take shots from the back, I would definitely do so. And we have a decent chance on being able to do so.
Heading out.
And since we're only going to walk over there, we won't get as much. But if you also take a look at here, the penalties are not as severe. Plus, we also have a bonus of hitting our opponent in the back, since we are in its rear. And just like with tanks, usually these are very, very thin armor to the back. So we'll go ahead and fire.
On your tail.
And there goes. So much for that.
One less target.
That's 1/3 of all the enemies gone. I completely missed.
Barely a scratch. Talk to me.
And again, this is also great since we have not moved yet. I'm going to shoot this thing in the back first. Since the armor is very thin, there's a really good chance that we're going to be able to kill this thing. And without that much of a heat buildup. So normally I would not recommend doing this unless you have a good chance of being able to hit. Actually, and if you wanted to conserve some heat, I would recommend turning off one of these. I'll actually turn off the medium pulse since it actually causes some more heat. This actually causes 13. The other one causes 18. And the large pulse has a good ability to avoid some of the, to be able to hit more. Plus the SRMs. So let's actually go ahead and fire.
Your own fault. Punched right through his armor.
And we can just go ahead and walk to the
On
left.
my way.
What can I do for you?
We'll walk behind here, I'll shut off the RM5, and we will start shooting the flame.
Targeting enemy 6.
We have an explosion.
Did you see that? Did you see it?
Ammo explosions can cause your opponent's mech to be destroyed.
I'm hit.
And here's what happens if you recklessly overheat your mech. They shut down. They lose all of their evasion pips if that happens. But what ended up happening here with Behemoth is that since she suffered one pilot injury because one of those shots that came off of this gauntlet actually hit her in the head. Now, if you get hit in the head, you will still maintain an injury like you normally would. Alright, so now that that's our turn,
How can I help?
since the defenses are down, if we ended up going over here and just doing an alpha strike, possibly, but I'll leave the medium pulse off. Now we have the ability to, a very high chance that we'd be able to kill this person. Since the target's shut down, we have a bonus of 4. And since the armor is pretty thin, we have a very high chance of just killing it. And if we do, and the one thing about rear attacks, they will ignore cover or their guarded state, so it will do full damage. So let's go ahead and just kill this thing.
Roger that.
Yes, Commander. Moving to position.
We'll leave the since they're shut down, or either you can do this while they're either knocked down in a shutdown state, you can have a called shot here. You pick one component and for them to fire at, and they'll do so.
Acknowledged.
Now their morale is changed to unsteady. Actually, that's what this is, but
Good to go.
But there is a time where they can be unsettled. And if that happens, in this particular mod, it causes a pilot to possibly eject. And if they do, they're out of the fight. And which is good for us because it gives us to be able to salvage more of what's not destroyed. And since this arm is exposed, we'll actually aim for this.
Yeah, critical hit.
Battle mech power-up detected.
I've got your back.
We'll go ahead and fire off more of this.
Affirmative. Take that as a lesson.
The ammo exploded, but because there was a thing called a case in here that prevents it from spreading.
Roger.
Good to go. On my way.
Now we'll go ahead onto the side here, fire more lasers at this thing.
Engaging.
Since the stability check
Target's
failed,
taking a critical hit.
they're stressed, and we're gonna knock it down. And because it sustained 2 pilot injuries earlier, once the third one happens, it will knock out the pilot, and the mech's out of the fight.
Mission successful.
And usually that's great for us because anything that has not been destroyed on there, when we go to this next part, we are going to get some special things out of it. On this drop, we get 123,000 C-bills. Since Behemoth has been injured, she will not be available for 15 days. Which means we're going to need to get another MechWarrior. And everybody gets 700 experience from this battle. And for that contract, we get 2 priority, and we can get a total of 9. And here's all the stuff that we get out of that. There's even the supercharger here too. For here, what we'll do is we will pick out which one of what I would preferably do is I would go through all of this, and since we're trying to look for more salvage for to expand our fleet of battle mechs. Gonna read which ones. This Wasp is a light scout. Best to keep these units at a distance for flanking and spotting.
Call from +17279425000.
I'll get that. I'll call him back. I will go ahead and read some of this. We have an armed scout, an expensive net that's good against other 20-ton mechs and infantry, but not being able to stand up for any major threat from larger mechs. I don't think we don't want this. So what we'll do is we will get this gauntlet. Now, if you're able to get some of these in one piece without destroying it, there's a good possibility that you'll be able to see that some of the components that you get out of this will not be destroyed when it's put that together. And it randomly gave us 2 more of these parts, and it gave us a machine gun, a multiple missile launcher 7, 2 small lasers, and heavy ferro, which is an armor. And after that, we are going to go back. Unfortunately, for this particular video, since somebody did try to give me a call, but I'm actually going to cut this video just for this one battle. But for the rest of this, we are going to do 2 battles per video from here on out. No, I promise. And then in between, I'm going to actually post 1 or 2 videos every at least twice a week. Now, before we go, we get a thing with this. These are just random events that come up. So in the morning briefing, Yang jumps right in. Commander, the Leopard is too small. My mech techs are tripping over everything. Chief, we talked about this. The area says in inspiration, we can't exactly knock down any walls. Sumai inserts herself. What if we move some supplies and into other parts of the Leopard? The bunks, the kitchen, hell, I'll even start some boxes in the cockpit and it'll help. And I'll just say that I'll move only a small amount over here. And some of these, and sometimes what you say does matter what happens next. And since we do this, we get since over the next several days, everyone has at least a critical mech base supply to other parts of the Leopard. With emotions get heated over next week, the short duration of the project encourages patience. A frontline agent technician reclaimed their supplies. His mood at least is much better than everyone else's. When you arrive at the mech bay, he grimly is satisfied with the amount of reorganization he managed in a short period of time. Now for 14 days, we will have a 3-point tech boost for 14 days. Which is going to be helpful when stuff like this happens. We have 3 of our mechs were damaged in the engagement. It'll cost $11,599 and 9 days for the repairs. Do you want them to get started? Yes, we do. And this will take quite a bit. And before and one last thing. When we actually do some of this, we actually want to do some of these upgrades as soon as possible. The first thing I want to do is be able to get a to get some of this going right away, so it makes our repair times much better. But this requires this particular thing first, since you got to be able to do so. When you purchase this, it'll tell how much it'll purpose, your average cost, which is how much it's going to add on to this, and how long it's going to take. This is just going to be able to get things back and running. It's only going to cost an additional $3.50 a month, but that's going to be no problem.
Sure thing. It'll take a bit, but
So
we'll get
here,
it done.
I'll just cut the video here. I'll just go see what else is happening. So until next time, I'm Crimson Thunder of the Stormbringing Destroyers. See you next time, everybody.